Iran batteries are made in Israel.
Okay.
And apparently, when some Macs were being imported to Saudi Arabia, somebody took it apart and looked at it. And
so this can't happen.
yep, they could not import them. It was a big, mess. And they were all complaining about Israeli batteries trying to come into Arabia. And,
Heaven forbid, huh?
yeah.
So they needed to find another source.
Yeah. So I think Soft is French.
I don't know where they're from, but I've had very good luck with them. That brand is,
Mm-hmm.
It's like...
Yeah, Tataran is Israeli. Let's see if we can find Soft. And didn't spell safe wrong. French, yep. So batteries are only a part of their billion-dollar company. Oh, defense industry uses them too. Oh, they have a green logo or a yellow. That's red, right? They have a red logo now. Their batteries have always been green. So, Rick, if you can lick both sides of the battery at the same time, you can see if there's any voltage in it. That's why it's easy to do on a 9-volt, because both the terminals are there. I had that happen to me once in class. I don't know why, but I had a 9-volt battery in my pocket and shorted out against a coin.
Yikes.
And my pants got really hot.
Yikes.
Wait a minute. What's going on here?
I'm burning up.
Yeah.
You're lucky it didn't catch on fire. You would have been really severely burned.
Yeah.
People do not realize the amount of energy that's in a battery.
And 9 volts doesn't sound like much.
Oh, you ought to see the people. My mom lives on a golf course, and everybody has a car and has a golf cart.
Mm-hmm.
You take those deep discharge 6-volt batteries and strap those guys in parallel. You want to see how much current you can get out of them.
Yeah. I've gotten zapped by Mac power supplies every now and then. I'll forget to unplug it when I'm screwing it back down after testing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it was only the low voltage side of it because it didn't throw me across the room. So it was probably the low voltage DC, not the high voltage AC.
Years and years ago.
Yeah, DC will make you grab on, but AC will knock you away.
In physics class, we had a Van de Graaff generator.
Yeah,
and the professor would charge up the Leyden jar and then have an unsuspecting student come and touch it.
We used to, years ago when I first started working, we had power supplies that were for tube circuits.
Mm-hmm.
So these things are, 17 and 1800 volts, and you discharge the whole power supply.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be unplugged. You'd go away, and 3 days later, it'd come back and bite you. It was like magic. You would recharge just like...
You want me to hold that while you plug that mic camera back in?
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, here's that article you were mentioning earlier where
I gotta put my glasses back on.
iOS apps are using an enterprise certificate for gambling, porn, piracy.
Oh, wow.
No, it's usually you got to do it at the top first.
Top first?
You got to plug the cable in. You might have to take the. Oh, you did. The Kapton tape. So she has Kapton with a K.
Good stuff.
So recently, one of them was in her kitchen, ostensibly doing dishes, but with water running to cover the sound of the smartphone.
Usually the pins are.
But the better story, and I had to take
against
this was actually an opening. Earlier this week, it was actually the house on East Ave near Wegmans.
Okay. And you gotta tuck it down in there.
Tucking in.
But don't get it in front of a screw hole. I've done that a couple of times and then pierced the wire when I screwed it in. Yeah.
One guy was on the sidewalk. One guy was in the street.
stick something there. A black stick. Not the nylon probe, sometimes called a black stick or a spudger, to make sure, and then make sure the make sure the screw.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, the screw goes in okay.
We just gotta take care of this.
Yep. So actually, we got to put the bottom in first.
Okay.
And
And
then
that popped out again.
out again. Yeah.
Okay.
Up. There we are.
So the guy walking the sidewalk
Oh, that's not right.
is standing there next to him.
Flathead screwdriver helps sometimes.
And further inquiry,
Flathead screwdriver. What did I do?
he was on a phone now. He had been in a phone conversation, which he continued after the guy's lying there on the ground. You know, in other words, it's all.
Oh, somebody got hit by a car. Yeah, all about it. A picture of him.
The
guy's like, call the police or something.
In other words, it totally displaces actual external
You make a
reality.
bill for that.
It takes over people's minds. Now, let me explain what I'm doing here.
I assume she was looking out the window.
She has a little porch on the front of her
That
apartment.
she
It's
saw.
just a smoke.
Go
She
ahead.
saw this, and she
Okay.
called
Proceed.
911.
Okay.
And so on. Supposedly.
And screw back down.
The patient survived, huh?
Yeah.
Good deal.
Well, yeah. The next thing is, does it still work after you're screwed all back together?
Yeah, that's the worst. Is if you screw it all back together, it stops working. What did I do?
Let
There
me
you
see.
go, iFixits.
Yeah, they probably have the screw chart
And so,
online because they built it themselves. Every now and then we see somebody will publish will post an official Apple service guide, which is a violation of their NDA and causes problems. Apple jumps on them and shuts them down. But where iFixit, they've done it themselves.
So they can do anything they want.
Yeah.
I actually, one of my MacBook Pros lost a couple screws. How, I have no idea. But out of
They
the back,
vibrate loose.
Yep, and these guys I got online, they had them. They were pretty pricey, but they had them, and they come ripping.
What's interesting is
I
there's,
hate the hex screws on the MacBook Pros.
they're not hex.
Or
They're
whatever they are.
They're Phillips on the back.
then the later ones went to pentalobe.
Did they? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're terrible. I hate them.
Whatever they are, doesn't matter, because if you don't have it, you don't need to worry about tightening.
Yeah.
I'm looking at them going, and there's supposed to be a screw in this hole.
But there's
Tiny thing.
they're Loctite on them too.
Yeah, I put one
So
of them on.
sometimes what we think happens is somewhere along the way it had service work done and they didn't put the Loctite back on when they screwed it back in.
Yep. That's true.
Well, it's probably just somebody.
Well, then they're so small, you shouldn't even be really using the blue.
They always tell us on many of the models to throw away the screws and replace all the screws. And then we always say, well, give us the screws. They make us buy the screws to replace, so that cuts right into our profit.
Okay.
I can on an out of warranty repair we could charge the customer, yeah, but on an in warranty repair,
So in other words, Apple's saying screw you. Is what they're saying.
basically, yeah.
Well, it's not like they have enough money, so they'll just scraping the things together.
All right. So all the ones around the outside are 13 millimeter. Well, this is the 2009, and the 4 on the bottom are 25 millimeter. The 2017 might be different, or 2007 might be different. Because I thought the ones on the left were shorter. Why can't I find the... Oh, because it might be under the EMC number, not the year. Let me see if I can find what the EMC number is. So iMac, 20-inch, 2007. EMC is 2133. All right, so we'll do EMC 2133. Alrighty, there we are, 2007. And we want bezel. Not display panel. So there's no B for bezel. What did they put it under? Well, if we pick anything else, the first thing you have to take off is the bezel.
There you go.
Yeah, same thing. The 8 on the outside are the 13 shorter ones, and the 4 on the bottom are the 25 longer ones. There's one model where the 2 in the center are longer than the 2 on the outside. Just to annoy you. And I usually do it laying down, so when you drop the screw, it doesn't roll away.
Yeah. Yeah, some people have special pads that they put things on.
I used a couple of bits of foam underneath, so it's not angled backwards.
I meant to prevent the screws from doing it.
I use craft bins, a sewing bobbin, thread thread bobbins.
Okay.
We got these neat little things at John Fabric for screw bins, and we use those. I haven't. There's 18 bins in the ones we found, and I haven't found any with that many again. Some people use old egg cartons, but there's only 12 in an egg carton.
Yeah.
But iFixit has a neat toolkit that has a magnetic pad that you set the screws down on.
Yeah, I think that's what I was thinking of.
There's a green material very similar to what you used to use on drawing boards years ago. It's kind of a soft pad, and it's not magnetic that I'm aware of.
Oh, I should have brought my. I've got cutting. There we could set down.
Okay.
All fixed?
Almost. I still have to put the glass back on.
No, that just when you get everything lined up, it just sucks it right in?
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go. There's your cutting.
Make sure you do the camera at the camera hole at the top.
Yep.
Yeah, I forgot I had one of those.
Yeah, that's a handy pad.
I've got a smaller one too.
Yeah, nice.
No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
So we got that color pattern. We got that color pattern.
Yep. And if you took some of those plastic magnets and glued them onto the corners, you can put your screws right on there.
Yeah.
Not lose them, and
Usually the suction cups in the corner makes it a little easier to get out. All right, now plug it back in, see if it still works.
Yeah. The moment of truth has arrived.
I think the moment of truth will be about a week from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're probably right. Oh, I forgot to put this thing back.
I've done that.
What
And
is it?
the RAM door. The RAM access door.
Yeah.
Because it goes on the bottom.
Goes on the bottom.
The newer models, you don't have to take that off to get the bezel off.
Yeah, I don't know what Apple was thinking.
Actually, newer models, they removed the entire bezel. So now the glass is the whole front of it. And you pull the glass panel off, and that gets you right into the guts.
In defense, and there may be no defense for them, but in defense, when you're making anything, there are so many trade-offs.
Yep.
I took my truck into a repair shop one day, and I had to listen for an hour. Every four-letter word about automotive engineers that ever lived, and what was wrong with them, and how stupid they are. Now, I spent
This couldn't have made
most of
sense
my
when they were
career
designing it.
as an automotive engineer, and let me tell you, when someone says, here's the footprint you got under the hood, and oh, by the way, we're going to put a transverse mounted, transmission in there,
Oh, yeah.
and a V6, and oh, by the way, you get to put your crap in this space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they can't figure out why that last plug can't come out of the block, because there's no clearance unless you unbolt it from the mounts and jack the engine up.
Yeah. Some of the laptops, MacBook Air mostly, the keyboard has a ribbon cable that connects to the trackpad and the input device board.
Okay.
Instead of connecting straight in, it overshoots it, makes a 180-degree turn, and connects back.
Okay.
And then has a locking lever to hold it in place.
Okay.
So that means the cable covers the locking lever.
Okay.
So when you want to unplug it, you have to lift the cable up without tearing it, unlock the locking lever, then you can get it off. And then when you're trying to put it back on again, the cable is blocking you from seeing the connector when you put the connector back in the locking lever.
Well, like I said, I've seen a lot of
How did that make
designs.
sense when they designed it?
You know what? There's always, you get these designs by committee
Yay!
where someone
Good sound.
decided that, we can reuse these screws, and
Yeah.
therefore we don't have to have another part number.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're too long, too short, the
Yep.
wrong threads or whatever, it's a big.
Yeah. Why couldn't they have just turned the connector around so it went straight from the keyboard to the board?
It sounded like a good sound.
Yep.
Yeah.
Send a note out in a week to let us know that the battery didn't get discharged somehow.
There is a feature, and so Mac Tracker is a program we use a lot that tracks all the different Mac models.
Okay.
Specs. The one thing I like about it is it gives you the maximum OS, so you don't have to find it on Apple's website.
That open to the world?
Yep, MacTracker.ca.
Okay.
You can. It tells you how much RAM it can take, what kind of RAM it takes, all sorts of cool stuff.
Cool.
What the connections are in it, and it has benchmarks, so you can see what the benchmarks on almost all the models are. So that'll compare what benchmarks you're doing. In fact, I got to look at this. There was a guy who called the show, had a Mac Pro 2009. He didn't say what processor it was. So these are the benchmarks for the Mac Pro 2009. And he said he had it running faster than the trash can model. So he didn't want to upgrade, which doesn't sound right. It looks like the trash can model is at least twice as fast on all the benchmarks. But now that the Mac Mini has been souped up and comes with at least a quad core on most of the models, and up to a 6 core. Okay, why can't I scroll? Because it's off the bottom of the screen. Because the screen is weird because we're on the projector. There's the screen. There we are. I don't have. Do I have the 2018 Mac Mini? We're a little disappointed that the Mac Mini now starts at $699 when it used to start, or starts at $799. Used to start at $499. But if we do the benchmark here, yeah, even the slowest Mac Mini is faster than the fastest 2009 Mac Pro.
Okay.
But this is only processing performance. They don't have graphic performance benchmarks.
Okay.
Which would also help, because it depends on what you're doing. Do you need a faster graphic processor, or do you need a faster central processor? The other thing that's kind of neat with the Mac Pro is it gives you the startup chime of every model.
Okay.
The newer Macs, I think in 2016, 2017, they stopped doing a startup chime when you turn it on.
Okay.
So you don't know it's on. So you push the button and nothing happens, and you think you did something wrong. Two little chains there. Then the other thing is they switched from a gray screen with a black Apple logo. They've now switched that to a black screen with a white Apple logo on boot. Saves the phosphors on the LCD panel.
Okay.
But that means that when you turn on the Mac, it does nothing. There's no chime. The screen doesn't light up. And if you have a lot of RAM, the Mac does a RAM test before it chimes.
Okay.
So in fact, I just did one the other day. Brand new Mac. It had 8 gig. We put 40 gigs in it, and now it takes like 10, 15 seconds to do the RAM test while the screen is sitting there black and you think nothing's happening. So then you start hitting the button again, and if you hold the power button, it turns it off, and you got to start over. So before then it does the RAM test, then the white Apple logo comes on to a black screen. But you don't know that it's on. But there was an interesting early problem where companies, especially in people in companies, would have to reboot in like a meeting, and you get this big chime in the middle of the meeting. So there was always questions about how do I mute the startup chime, and one of the first easiest things is to plug a headphone jack in.
Okay.
Just you find a broken one, cut the wire off, plug the headphone jack in, then it mutes it. Then there was a guy that wrote a program that would zero the volume when you shut down, and then raise the volume back up again when you turn down. So now it doesn't chime at all. So all those people are happy. But the vast majority of everybody else is mad there's no chime. So Mac Tracker gives you the startup chime. That was remember that one, Rick?
Yeah.
And the 2GS?
Yeah.
So you guys go way back further than I.
So every new model had a different startup chime. Especially during the Macintosh line. So if we go to the original Mac, a single chime. The Mac Plus. Let's see, was it the SE was the first one that had the... No. Yeah, I think the Mac 2 had a different chime. Yep, Mac 2 had a different chime. So it was every time a new model came out, we always wanted to see what the chime was and to see when they changed it.
They must have a vice president in charge of chimes.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Was it the? I think the Quadra. Quadra was the first one to go not quadraphonic. What's the word? Instead of a single tone, multi-tone. There's a special word. I can't remember now. So it's a wider sounding tone. I should be able to turn the volume up a little higher too to get it running.
$6,000, man.
And this is $1991.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's serious.
That was the first computer with a DSP in it. Oh no, that was the AV. When did the AV models come out? Let's see, is this still? That's still that one, yeah. There we are, the AV models. Had a different one, so that had a DSP in it. And could do telephony, it could do voice recognition, it could do video encoding. There was a TV card option for them.
Holy smokes.
In '93.
I got started in Macs when Microsoft released Vista.
Oh, yeah?
I spent my entire career with Microsoft products or IBM-based products until then. And then all of a sudden they come out with Vista and they said, you can't order your machine with XP Pro anymore, you got to have Vista.
Oh, yeah?
And I said, no, I really want XP Pro. And they said, oh, we're sorry, you're going to get this. You'll be happy with it.
And then the iMac started that noise, and that's the way it's been.
Yep. So I had it for 2 days at home, and I was never so unhappy in my life. My wife said, why don't you just go down to the Mac store and get whatever you want? And I said, you don't have to ask me twice.
Yeah, so
I got a question for you.
2015 was the last Mac that had the chime.
I'm not sure what year mine is. Mine's older. We were talking earlier. Mine's my desktop, my 27 inches, is got to be 5-6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Easy, because the hard drive that was in it croaked. I bumped up the RAM in it, and I think it was one of the later machines that you could upgrade the RAM without taking things apart.
Mm-hmm.
Had trapdoors on the back.
Yeah.
Do we have an Ethernet cable or not?
Not long enough.
Well, how long do you need? Because I brought a
50 feet.
Oh, you need a 50-foot one.
Well, 40 maybe.
Well, I was just concerned that trying to control Carol's computer from here over Wi-Fi might be a bit sluggish. But I suppose we can try it anyway.
I do it over Wi-Fi all the time.
Yeah, the internet's going to be a lot slower than the Wi-Fi.
I control my mom's machine in Florida over the Wi-Fi in the house.
I used to do that. Back in the early days.
Yeah.
That was back when she had a little white iBook. Remember the iBook? I was able to control it.
Well, she's got a Microsoft-based machine. This is some tower that she uses.
Let's leave that on there for now. Yeah, there's Apple has a remote control built in.
Okay.
But it only it works over the LAN. So I can log in and control my Mac in the other room.
Okay.
If you want to do it over the internet, you have to set up things on your router, or use a third-party program that makes it easier.
I've been using TeamViewer today.
Yeah, TeamViewer has a free version for non-commercial use.
Yep.
LogMeIn had a free version that they said would be free forever, and it was until they discontinued it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it didn't log me in by LastPass. So LogMeIn is still around.
One of them did. Well, yeah, the commercial program is still available.
Yeah.
But the free version disconnected.
Well, there wasn't like one little Russian guy that wrote the first LogMeIn, because I remember him and Steve Gibson having big powwows.
Oh no, that was LastPass.
Okay, but even the original
Segrest.
LogMeIn, when he first started LogMeIn, I think Leo was pumping the program way back when.
Yeah, that one I don't. Oh, that's not what I wanted.
It's telling me, it says something about ready to connect, and I've got the number for computer in here. And
Oops, I spelled Google wrong, so it's warning me that I'm going some.
Huh?
Yeah.
So for remote control, and I say connect, and it comes up and it says TeamViewer not running on partner computer.
Okay.
What the heck does that mean?
Means that her machine isn't upbooted and have TeamViewer running in background.
But it is.
Well, okay, you say that. It doesn't know it is.
It doesn't know it is, or that's not the right number.
What I did when that happened to me was I would shut down and reboot. And
Well, I just started up.
No, the other end.
Well, I can't do that unless I can log into her machine.
Yeah, that's true. I've got a question. A different.
Is it is the LogMeIn program in the foreground maybe? And did you set it up for unintended access?
I did. I connected to it last night over my own network, and that was fine.
Did it
the
go
only thing I haven't done is connect remotely like this.
Did it go to sleep maybe? Is it set to wake on LAN?
It might have gone to sleep.
Try it again now. So maybe it has woken up by now.
Yeah. And it still says TeamViewer not running on partner computer.
I don't think I have TeamViewer logged in on mine because I've got my server at the office is set up for TeamViewer. There used to be a power strip that had a modem plugged in it.
Okay.
Before internet days.
Okay.
And so you could dial into the power strip and tell your computer to reboot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I used to have one.
That's pretty cool.
That was cool.
I don't know if there's a way to do that anymore. There are computer control or like app controlled outlets,
yeah, Yeah.
So you could kill the power
Yeah.
and turn the
That's
power
a
back on.
crash.
And crash the computer, yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't know if there's a way to tell the computer to restart
Yeah.
without being able to connect to it.
Yeah, if you can't connect to it, tell it to reboot.
Well, what this one used to be was it was a dialer. You could use your phone, and you would dial your home phone or whatever it was, dial the number of the device, and it would pick up, and then you could press a key combination on your phone, and then it said, "Oh, you want me to restart this
Oh,
computer?"
wow.
And then it would do it.
But somehow or other,
It was very clever. Unfortunately, it's a
ended up in the address
serial
box.
Apple.
It was
serial
ADB
box.
at the time,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so
And nobody came out with
most of the
another
workday,
version.
these emails.
Well, and that was also back when the keyboard, the ADB keyboard, had the power button on it, and there was a soft power button.
All right, so I've got to somehow get that to remotely connect before I guess it's going to work from here. So I'll have to go to Starbucks or something and get it working that way. And have Carol at home, and then I guess maybe the next month we can do it. So that's that for that one.
What are you trying to accomplish?
We want to have you take a look at her Apple IDs and consolidate them.
Well, we can do that on our phone, but you have to do it on all your devices. Well, you start the family on one device, and then you set it up on the other devices too.
Yeah. So we figured if you could just log into her machine, you could see everything that's going on.
That would be a great topic
Take
for
care
one
of
of the next sessions.
Yeah, we mentioned it a little bit at the meeting last week. You still can't merge Apple IDs.
Okay.
And over the years, what has happened a lot of times is you forget your Apple ID password, so you just make a new ID.
Yeah.
But all your purchases are saved under that ID. So now you've lost access to your previous purchases.
Yeah.
Or you change email providers, and since your Apple ID is an email address, you make a new Apple ID. But then you lose all your old purchases. We've even heard of the Apple geniuses will tell you to make a new Apple ID because you're having problems with your old one. But then you lose access to all those old purchases,
Yeah.
which is a pain in the ass.
Well, there's no recovery, right? There's nobody you can call or
Correct.
nobody you can complain to. You just eat it.
Well, now you have two Apple IDs.
Understand, but
There's-
you've lost all your previous purchases.
Right, so you still have to log into your old Apple ID to get access to all those purchases.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So what they've done is they have added an option called iCloud Family. And the intent is that, mom, dad, and the kids
Okay.
all are a part of a family. So up to 5 family members. So anything you buy on iTunes or Apple Books or App Store is shared among the family.
And they can all have 5 different Apple IDs.
Yes.
Okay, so king all the IDs.
Yep. So mom buys an app, and then dad can install it without paying for it again.
Okay.
It's great for the users. It's horrible for developers.
Yeah.
Because then what used to be 2 or 3 sales is now 1 sale.
Well, okay, that's true, I suppose.
Yeah.
How is that any different than people swiping them, though?
Well, yeah. So what people used to do is they would just sign in as the wife's ID to download that app.
Yeah.
But the devices make it a little tricky to log in and out. Why don't you leave that on, Rick? It's starting to get dark in here.
Well, I was going to show the other screen here.
Oh, okay.
So this is my MacBook from 2008 that I have converted into a Chromebook.
Cool. Well, let me finish the iCloud family.
Oh, okay.
So what Apple did is they created this iCloud family option. One person becomes the family organizer. And then they invite all the other people by their Apple ID to that family.
Okay.
So if you somehow end up with 2 IDs or 3 IDs, you make a family of yourself and invite those other IDs. Then each person has access to all the purchases from the other ID.
Cool.
So now you've got access to your old IDs back. And if you change your email address, you can log in to the Apple ID service and change your Apple ID. You don't have to make a new ID with the new address. You can change your old ID. Because that's one of the common ways people end up with two different IDs is they get a new email address and think they need a new Apple ID.
Okay.
So iCloud Family can be set up on any of the devices.
You want to sit there?
If we go into iCloud, set up Family.
Alright,
So-
so that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
The problem is I don't know my password and I want it done.
So then you have to go to iforgot.apple.com and reset your password.
Okay.
So that's the other thing. People will make a new ID if they forget their password. You shouldn't do that.
I did it when I bought the phone because I didn't.
Some people
No,
think they need a new ID on every device, but the ID is tied to a person, not the device. So if you forget your password, you can go to iforgot.apple.com, and
That's cool.
it will ask you your security questions, or it will send an email to your registered email address in order to reset your password.
Okay.
If you have forgotten both of those,
Yeah.
then you have to call Apple.
Convince somebody, a real person.
Yeah.
Alright, but so. Alright, so tell me again what.
So-
I forgot to have and then.
And then put in your Apple ID, and you can reset your password for the ID you have forgotten. So we'll just do that now. We'll mimic it now. I'm not actually going to reset it. Now, it's asking me for my phone number. Since I have two-factor turned on, it's asking for the phone number. If you don't have two-factor, that's a different phone number. I don't recognize that number offhand.
Good.
Well, it's so I use Google Voice. Oh, this is my personal Apple ID. So this is my personal Google Voice number. For my work Apple ID, I use my work Google Voice number. So then you put that number in, and then it would ask you your security questions, or give you the option of sending an email to your email address, assuming that and that's part of the problem. Any way to recover your password means a bad guy can recover your password too. So they will send an email to your email address with instructions on how to reset your password. Yeah, that's the same thing. If the bad guy has already got your email password, then he can get that reset instruction and reset your Apple ID password. So if
You used a colon, semicolon.
Did I?
S and Jesse.
That's it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
It was something like that.
Yeah. So if you don't remember your this now I have two-step verification, so there's a recovery code. So to help with the security, they've added two-step, which has a recovery code, or two-factor, which has a phone number, which does make it harder for you to get back into your ID, but it makes it much harder for a bad guy to get in. So if the bad guy has your email address and email password, then he can just reset your Apple ID. So you start there at iforgot.apple.com to reset your password. And then when you have that, you go to, on any of your devices, you go to the iCloud settings, and you can set up a family, and you pick one of the IDs, the one you use the most usually, to be your master.
Can you shake your master later on? Or is that a one-time trick?
You can by disbanding the family and making a new family.
Okay, no, the reason I'm wondering was you were talking about losing an email address. If you picked one that you typically are using a lot,
Right.
then you were losing.
So you left Roadrunner and your Apple IDs are Roadrunner address,
Yeah,
you can't log back into Roadrunner again.
yeah.
You're screwed. Well, then you have to call Apple and prove you're you.
Okay.
And one of the things they have is a support pin. So if 2 or 3 steps in, if things still don't work, there's a support pin that helps verify that it's you doing it,
Okay.
so they can reset your password. But the big thing is changing your addresses before you lose access.
Yeah.
And we often say that changing your email address is worse than changing your postal address, because the post office will forward, although I've found some restrictions for that. They won't forward the Apple Cider mail because it was a private mailbox.
Oh, yeah.
And UPS, we have to pay for forwarding.
Huh.
So I didn't bother. It's mostly junk.
Well,
But-
I mean, yeah. Who's
Yeah.
gonna use it anyway?
Well, see, my worry is that someone is going to send a check to the old address, even though I've changed it all on the
Yeah.
website.
They might have an old form or something.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think of that. We got to update all our forms
Yeah.
with the new address. Yeah, so if you don't have access to the old email anymore, so if you forgot the old email password, then you have to go to that service and run their I forgot procedure, so you can get back into that account.
So right now, I still have my 2 email addresses
Mm-hmm.
I'm using.
Yeah. So you want to try it now on one of Rick's computers or this computer?
Try to do the.
Try to do the reset.
Oh, okay. I guess I can
Okay.
do that.
I am going to stop the recording while we're doing with passwords. I'm going to hide. Yeah, I'm just going to stop at everything because we don't want any of this going live. So stop streaming.